Bwana asifiwe. So we're having a leaders meeting. And I will not take you very long, but I have a few things to share from the scriptures and from experience. By the grace of God, the first time I was asked to do a leadership role was 1958. I just started school, and for reasons only the teacher can explain, he made me a prefect. The only trouble of being a prefect, I didn't know how to write people's names. So I want to report that you have come late. I had to use my mind. You know, when my mother heard I am a prefect and people are complaining about them getting punished, she went and told the teacher she doesn't want her son to be the prefect. That's how I got my first demotion. That's 1958. So, and I've had opportunity after that to serve in different places. And there are several things I've learned in the process, especially in Christian leadership. If you can't hear me, there's still room near the front. So I'll not shout because I don't want my wife's group to also be disturbed. So try to come to just the first two rows. That way I don't have to shout. But there are 4 adjectives that describe Christian leadership. 4 adjectives that describe Christian leadership, and I'm hoping that the words describe it as a Christian leader. The first thing is God's representative. If you are a leader, you are God's representative. In other words, you understand that you have got delegated leadership. God remains the head of the Christian church. Nobody can take over from him. But so if you become a leader, like you're in charge of Sunday school, you are not really the leader. You are a representative of the leader. Okay, is the difference? So it's important to understand the first thing is, if you really are a Christian leader, is that you act as a representative of somebody in heaven. That's why we normally will call you like an ambassador. An ambassador is respected very heavily, but he's only respected because he's representing the president. The other day I gave one of our Kenyan ambassadors, I gave him. I said, when you are back in Kenya, I'll give you lunch. So we went for lunch, and I learned for the first time. He told me, when the president goes to his country, he reminds his driver all the way to the airport to remove the flag. Because he cannot have a flag on when the new owner of the flag is. I had never had that until the young man told me that I'm an ambassador, and now that we are back, he told me we are not having this lunch, we are not having an ambassador. I'm only ambassador when I'm in the other country. Here, the owner of the office is a mirror. I'm not communicating. That's the concept you need to understand about a leader. You are an ambassador, you are a representative of the real owner of the office. But you see, we say it easily, but the truth is you start feeling some, you start feeling really nice about it, isn't it? Yeah. In fact, sometimes they ask me, don't you know who I am? In other words, I finally stopped being a representative and become the owner of the seat. We have to really struggle with that. And my wife keeps talking about it. Slowly, we are making things very difficult for people to know they are God's representative. Why? Because we are treating leaders in such a way that new leaders also want to be treated in that way. So that you feel like, if I'm a leader, I can't sit at the back. I must have a special seat. And that is, when you understand you're only a representative, you can be at home and a citizen. So that what concerns you more is functionality rather than aesthetics. Functionality means how does it work. Aesthetic is it beautiful? You cannot be Christ's representative and you are taken too much with aesthetics. You know these days they even have bodyguards. Have you heard of it? The pastor comes with the 2 bodyguards. So the question, we keep asking 3 questions. Number 1, is he still Christ's representative? Number 2, what has he stolen when he requires bodyguards? Because they might be something causing to be a predator. So So I thought I need to have that clear in our mind that that you are a representative, you are not the owner of the seat. Whatever you do for God, if you are leading a group to do God's work, please remember you are representing God in that area. So ask yourself, how the people I lead, would they actually call me Christ? Would they see me an ambassador whose flag goes down? Because I'm told when you're an ambassador in a country, I still remember visiting another, when I used to be still before I retired, I went to cover Sudan was one of the countries I was covering. So when the ambassador, the Kenyan ambassador heard I was in the country and he's a Christian, say, when John comes next, you must bring, I was actually speaking in a focus conference, you must ask him to come to see me. So when I visited now one of the evenings, so I went to visit him. And he explained it's very difficult to be an ambassador. You know, the special branch of that country are on a hill. He can't go to any village. He cannot eat Yamachoma where others eat Yamachoma because he is supposed to present Kenya. And if he's got to burn places, Kenya is going to funny places. So he has to be very careful. And actually you can get fired as an ambassador if you're an ambassador. There was somebody in the US who did a few things, people remember the election. And he was recalled back. There is a way of behavior. You don't behave the way you want. You behave the way the owner of the job wants. So you need to understand, you need to be very careful how you represent God. If you understand representing God. Because can be recalled. Okay, I hope not. Record means you die. But so we hope you are not recalled. Because he appointed you, but now you are not behaving the way you should. So one of the things, 3 things follow. I'm still on my first point. Now I'm on sub point. 3 things follow once you accept you are Christ as well. Number 1, you become somebody afraid of how you act because you do not want to really represent the owner of the job. So you are not very. It's not an exciting thing to actually be representing God because it makes you higher. What would he do? So the first thing is you become concerned about the way you behave because you don't behave the way you want. You behave the way God wants. Number 2, it is important if that is the way you have understood. You are always aware of the consequences of representing God. You are always conscious of representing God. Number 3, you are not bothered about people's appreciation and accolades. Because see what matters is what the owner of the office did. This will never appointed you. It is God who appointed you, isn't it? So you are not bothered, too bothered that they are not appreciating you, they are not clapping for you, they are not. What bothers you is what does the owner of the office think. The trouble is that if you have to be fair, a lot of us feel nice when we are getting a clap. And sometimes the clap becomes so important that you no longer bother what the owner of the office thinks. Because we have gotten, the popularity becomes an issue. So let's hope, and I'm talking to myself by the way, although I'm very few leadership positions anymore, but I'm talking to myself too, that whenever God gives me opportunity to lead, that I will remember it's not my office, it's God's office. Number 2, remember I told you there are four words that are describing Christian leadership, is that if you are a Christian leader, you will become a steward. And it's related to the first one. But a steward has other connotations. Who is a steward? A steward is a person who manages somebody else's property. That's a steward. A person who manages another person's property. If you have a kashamba somewhere in Kitale, or you are living in Kabega, you don't go every day. It's not near, isn't it? So you have left somebody to run after it. Now, if you leave him, he's a steward. He's not an owner. And that is very limiting. Because, for example, you have kept pigs. But the guy can see pigs are not bringing money. What's bringing money is cows. He can't sell the pigs, and when you appear there, you are buying beer, he's selling. He said, yeah, you are a fool. No. No. Even if I'm a fool, it's my land, isn't it? You're fine. Am I right? So, a steward is a person who manages another person's property. Let me give you, I've written a book on stewardship. And the best example I give in the book is of a bank manager. A bank manager can sign a check worth 1 billion shillings and it will not bounce. For the bank is worth billions and he has authority over them. But that same night he is signing a check of 1 billion. The wife told him to come home with the milk, but he has no money. Would he take the bank's money to buy the milk? He went up home without milk. Wife says, surely, you are a whole bank manager. How can you come without milk? But a good steward does not convert what he is managing to his own possession. For the bank manager, he is being paid about 200,000 shillings a month. That's how he's money. He has to budget everything on that. These are billions. He is still in charge, but they are not his. Most of the people who end up in jail is because the word used in government circles called misappropriation of money. Misappropriation is actually not theft. It's using money differently from the way it was budgeted. Are you getting the picture? Yeah. So that you are the treasurer of the church, you can see clearly the church needs to be clean. But you have run out of the money for cleaning the church. The only money you have is for VPS. Now, to take the money of VPS to clean the church, which is good, means you are not a good steward. Because the people who gave the money gave it for VPS. If you want to use VPS money for cleaning the church, you must ask the givers. I'm not going to give it. And a lot of, especially churches, have real problems with the issue of misappropriation. Because we argue, it is mine. I can do with it whatever. It's not yours. You are a steward. It's God's money. And if you agree that when I used to live in Kisumu, I still remember one of the churches which will remain nameless, where they raise money to move from the social hall to have their own compound. Once the money was available, the pastor decided to buy a car out of it. So when the elders asked, where is our money? He said, inside that car. He said, but how shall we continue paying rent? He said, but I'm the pastor. I can do whatever I want. The elders said, that is not true. It's not your money. The people who gave us for fraud. They never gave us for. He had to fire. Oh, the elders. On one day. And he appointed some young men and the new elder. So the church split it into two. I'll not give more details because those of you are older might know which church I'm talking about. So it's important to understand this issue of being a steward is very critical in Christian leadership. Understanding a steward is a manager of another person's property. It's not yours. I know you have a big title, bank manager, billions. We all fear you. Okay, bank manager no longer fear. In our time, to get a loan was very difficult. These days, they're even revoking loans. The bank managers are wrong as fear. This is the way this friend of mine and I can tell you the history of the many years ago when we were young. So, but please understand, a church leader must remain a steward. Nothing he has, and please understand legal terms. You are in possession, you are not in ownership. Stewards are people in possession, but they don't have ownership. It's within your control. But you told me, what is very interesting, when we bought what my drive and what I drive, it ended up that the person was importing, my wife was more ready, so the car I drive has her name, and the car she drives has my name. The truth is, I'm in possession of that car. But if you go to the offices, NTSA, the owner is Dr. Rebecca Nang. So I understand you can be in possession and not in ownership. So you need to understand, church property is not yours. You are in possession but not in ownership. So whenever, and if somebody belongs to another, You be very careful. There's a Kikuyu saying, "Mwate wende ni mono gia gigo." Is that Kikuyu here? Okay, interpret it. In other words, if I'm wearing somebody else's jewelry, I had better be very careful. In the middle of the dance, they might require their jewelry back. For that thing to come, there must have been somebody in a Kikuyu dance who saw that all boys, all girls are running to the particular boy. They say, hey, by the way, that's jewelry. Can I have it back? So they came up with a saying, do not wear it too strongly. It will be required any time. Somebody's jewelry, just making your neck higher. So what you're saying is, in church leadership, it's more the way. It's somebody else's. You are in possession, but not in ownership. And it will be very important to understand. There are 3 things, again, to do with stewardship. Number 1, to keep remembering that the properties your office has given you as a Sunday school superintendent, or as a deacon, or as an elder, whatever it is you are looking after, on behalf of the church, please never mistake it for your own purpose. That's why you must be very careful. One of the things I was taught very early as a young person, if I'm taking offerings, I must put them away from me, because they might mix up, and I start mixing my money with God's money. The moment my money mixes with God's money, I'm casting my other pocket, isn't it? The best thing is make sure God's money never mixes with my money. That's why I think the church recommends all monies are taken to the bank. Then you can have to remind yourself, it's not your money. Because if it's me or you might forget what you are in possession of and start thinking you are the owner. And people in my years, I'm in the founding council of elders. I was the first secretary when the body was done. And we had a problem with the pastors. I remember one pastor saying, we are the ones raising this money. So he is saying that they have to write a budget, apply to the deacon board. Says, but how am I applying my own money? I am the one who raised it. And I still remember one of the pastors, somebody went, I think it's Bishop went to find the church had done things. He just took the money and used, not relying on the system. Of course, he did not last in system long. And people get very frustrated by the system. As an elder, I've been told that many times. I don't like the way you are. In fact, I was told that even very recently by a pastor. So I told him, but unfortunately, I'm wrong. I didn't. There's something very seriously wrong with. How can we be raising so much money? And you just give us, I can't remember the one he used. Because the pastor believes the funds he has helped to raise is his money. And how come my salary is so little compared with how much I raised? Obviously, if you are deacon, you know the truth. That CITAM is always struggling with the lack of money. All the years I've been in leadership, and even after that. You know, like now, we have over 20 churches that are crying with the lack of a place. I was in Machakos last Sunday, and they are struggling because the place where I was speaking, some people are seeing me, others are in the corner, there are screens in every direction. And they're saying, please pray for us. Now, you need to understand. At that time, the pastor is seeing all the money, not understanding the deacon board doesn't have enough. Am I communicating? So the moment you actually start mistaking it as your money, you'll be tempted to steal it. The word is not steal, misappropriate it. Are we together? Because you feel you have the right. And number 2, you may end up being a person who is very gifted, but because of lack of that stewardship principle, you end up not continuing with the ministry. I still remember being told by, I think it's T.D. Jakes, when we visited Kenya, to tell me something that I have never forgotten. He said, for God to do the miracle of feeding the 5,000, because it was a real miracle. You can't feed 5,000 men. You have no idea. I assume the women were more, isn't it? I like it to be more. You agree with me? How could you feed people? How could it? It was a miracle. But that miracle did not happen. After he said, I'm going, tell them not to go. He said, before I can do the miracle, let them sit in groups of 50. Can you imagine? People maybe 10,000. To organize them in groups of 50 will be more than an hour. So people are hungry. And they are fearing the kind of fish they are seeing in the hands of Jesus. So they are likely to struggle. But he never gave it until all people were seated in groups of 50. A lady from Odaya called Wamboi tried to feed people. And Mother Odaya is not known to be a place with hunger. She tried to feed them. And we saw on the TV people overrunning. You know, running on TV. And they are not poor. So Jesus was not like Wamboi. He knew these were hungry. The best thing is to keep them in groups of 50. While they were seated, he thanked God. And the miracle happened. So I keep asking, how many miracles are failing to happen despite God wanting to use you because you are Israelites? You see, the organization is not miraculous. It's us to organize, isn't it? But you see, until you are properly seated, the disciples have made them sit properly. No miracle will happen. And even in Sitam Kakamega, there are many miracles God intends to use. Only once the leaders have become stewards. The way they are organized, they are not owners, they are stewards. Until that happens, you just wonder, how is the ministry not growing? But the reason is he is waiting for people to sit with a group of 50. Properly organized, properly. So it's important to understand that issue. So you need to understand, I'm talking about what you draw out of the fact that you are steward. You'll be tempted to steal, but once you know it's not yours, you understand it. My last point of view was this issue of stewardship is that the moment you are a steward, pride disappears. You see, pride comes because of ownership. Not because of possession, but because of ownership. So when you feel like you own the property, you are driving the church's car, but you feel like it is yours. I don't think this is my car. Because you think people should appreciate it. Pride does not come. In fact, some friends will praise you. No, it's not mine. It belongs to the church. Because you don't want people to mistake you. You know the truth is not yours. So your uncle comes and says, wow, this is wonderful car. No, it's not mine. It belongs. Are we together? You don't want to be proud of something that doesn't belong to you. Because you got the way, Somebody else's jewelry is just making your neck. It will go one of these days. So it's important to understand that concept and pray that to God that it will come out even as you operate, whichever department you are in. I want us to have time for discussion, so I will not take too long. But do you understand the concept of a Christian leader as a steward? You know, pride will never come. Let me tell you something else that will never come. Inferiority complex. Because you see, you do not associate yourself with the title you have, with the position you have. Therefore, when you see somebody else with a bigger title, you know, mine is not mine, his is not his. I don't believe in it. I'm not very grateful. I know I'm only a Sunday school teacher. She is a Sunday school superintendent. She's a Sunday school teacher. I'm not the owner of the title. And superintendent, I'm still not the owner. So you don't feel inferiority complex when you understand the concept of stewardship. And sometimes it can be them. The other day, my wife and I were invited by some rich men to give a talk, a dinner talk. And we were taken to Itza. It was who and who is in Kenya. And you start thinking, how would I talk to these people? You know, because you are still there in the dinner, enjoying the dinner, knowing after the dinner I'm the one talking. But the kind of talk, we are seated with my wife and some other people. The one lady says, where do you go for summer shopping? One lady is a king, the other one says, New York. No, you are going to Paris. When I hear this, I'm not even taking Paris. Paris to Mombasa. I said, where did I come? No, you have gone to Paris. here like that, and you start here and say, God, how did you bring me here? Then I remember, whatever they own is God's property. Are we together? So I no longer feel inferior. By the time they call me to talk, I'm not seeing rich people. I'm seeing people allocated more money than me by the one who owns the talk. Okay. So I'm able to talk, and I talk to those who are there. Most of them were older than me anyway. I don't know where they have gotten my name, but one of the wives must have been a Christian who must have convinced the rest of the rich people to allow me to give a talk. Are you getting the point? Many of us, the moment you start thinking the office is yours, you start thinking the other person, the office is his. So when you go near him, you are led to have a fellowship. Because you wonder how. No. The moment you're a Christian, I'll go before the president. This I greeted the Moi one. I went to take out when Moi was the president, because I was then the national chairman of the Gideons. So we went to give him what we call a dignitary Bible with some Wazungus, and I greeted him. I'm aware. Between his title and my title, both of them don't belong to either of us. The president is just a title given by God. It's Mugabe. It's basically within no time. It will also be removed out of you. Are we together? God is the real owner. So you don't suffer from inferiority complex. Thirdly, you don't become competitive. You're not struggling this to come down for me to rise up. You know whether you rise or don't rise, God values you where you are. So you don't have leadership struggles because somebody does not necessarily see the one with the higher title as necessarily being any better than them. And that's a very, very important thing to understand. So a leader is an ambassador, a representative of Christ. A leader is a steward. And I think that will be something that we have to keep reminding ourselves very, very, very clearly. Thirdly, a Christian leader is a servant. We call it servant leadership. And it is something we can spend quite a bit of time talking. But Christian leadership is a pyramid upside down. I don't know whether are they projecting? Are they going to project? Yeah, because I would have like you to see my picture of the pyramid upside down. Christian leadership, the top guy is at the bottom of the pyramid. Everybody else is sitting on him. And the more senior you are, the greater the load you are carrying. According to Jesus, leadership in the world is the other way around. The top people sit on everybody else. So you need to understand that idea of servant, that you are a leader, you are a servant. The bigger, you can see the picture there, isn't it? Can you see? The pyramid upside down. The top person in the organization, our bishop, is at the bottom. He carries everybody else. And when you understand that concept, and please, let's for example, you become chairman of a committee. Which committee can we talk about? We launched the one of faith. Let's say there's a committee. If you are made the chairman, you are the one to carry everybody else. So, you are the chairman, somebody becomes the secretary. If the secretary does not do their work, the next meeting will not work, isn't it? So the chairman must ring the secretary to remind them the minutes need to be out. But the chairmen are so powerful. They just wait until the meeting. Secretary, where are the minutes? Oh, I forgot to write. Hopeless woman. Now, you need to understand. It means you don't understand the pyramid upside down. It is you responsible for lack of minutes. Because you are supposed to have been serving the secretary, checking whether she wrote the minutes, checking whether she has the computer or broken down. If it has broken down, you give her another computer until you ensure in the actual meeting the minutes will be available. If they are not available, don't embarrass the secretary. You are equally guilty. Because you are doing your job And the secretary's job. If the treasurer, you are not the treasurer, but if you remain the treasurer, by the way, we agreed you will buy the foreign items. Have you bought them? You don't come to the meeting to embarrass them. Because the lack of those items being bought, the chairman is still responsible and accountable. That's the meaning of servant leadership. Understanding that you are supposed to be serving everybody else. The more senior you become, the greater the load you carry. So that, let me tell you something. In an organization, if people disappear and the CEO was left alone, the one job he cannot fail to clean the toilet. Because it's the smell on him, isn't it? He must clean it. So can you see the importance of the cleaner? Because it's the responsibility of the CEO to clean the toilet. So when the toilet is clean, it's on behalf of the CEO. Am I communicating? So when he sees a good toilet cleaner, he says, thank you very much. You are really helping us here. But what about Jesus talked about the worldly concept of leadership. You do not bother, you are the pig. You can't wash toilets. You will just narrow you. But a real servant leader, there is no job he cannot do. I don't think there will be a problem. When we were young people, I still remember 1974, we were doing a crusade in Yadara. We had no car, we were just young people in our early 20s. And we had no car. Then one of us, a sister, the boyfriend had a car. So we told her, please tell your boyfriend to come during the crusade to be carrying the equipment. So she told her boyfriend. The boyfriend said, when you are going to a civilized place, call me. I can't drive my car to an open air. So the guy never showed up. We wondered, should he still marry our friend? Anyway, they wedded. And I was actually involved in the wedding. Within 10 years, there was no marriage. Once you have the concept of there are things you can do, others you cannot do because you are senior. That's the beginning of your end. Are we together? You know, even in Sitam, there is a concept. I used to be a Sunday school teacher. I was promoted to become a deacon. In other words, deacon is senior to Sunday school. And true. All ministries are equally important. And all of them require. If there is no deacon, there will be trouble. Just like if there is no Sunday school teacher, there will be trouble. And I was telling the youth pastor the story of about youth ministry. And I told him, someone went for a mission. When he came back, he was asked, how was the mission? What did he say? Oh, the Lord was good to us. 2.5 people got saved. So the pastor wondered, 2.5? How? 2.5? Oh, you mean 2 adults and a child? He said, no, you don't understand. Whenever a young person gets saved, they give the whole life to Christ. When an old man gets saved, only the fraction of it is remaining. So 2.5 means 2 young children got saved and Ganga made me. And that concept came to me. If you want to do ministry right, the most important person is the one with the highest ROI, return on investment. And the highest return is in Sunday school. That's where, if things are getting confused, don't worry about the main church. Worry about the Sunday school. Are we together? I keep telling young families, do not choose where the church you go to on the basis of the preaching of the main church. Because you can even read the Bible yourself. I always tell young couples, let your children determine which church you are going. Like I told you, I was in Sitam on and off without commitment for almost 20 years. Because it's early 90s when I finally applied for membership. You know, Sitam has that problem with many people. I was one of them who just come, but they don't commit. They don't attend the GM, but they are enjoying the ministry. Now, my friends, what made me settle in Sitam? Sunday school. My children were then young, 30 years ago, and we go here, we go to another church, we come and say, Mrs. White was so good in Sunday school that when you go there, I'm sure you remember, you go there, the children, she had papers, you sign, there are things for the parents, the other churches, Number two, all children are in single classes, so the two sisters are not in the same class, they come to report to each other. Say that is the church you should go to. And since me, I can, even those days I was still preaching around, the determination to stay in Satan was because of our children. We went through all Sunday school up to the age of 14, went through the fortress, we used to call it fortress. Then after that, they did excants. By the time they went to university, they started changing churches, but it is Satan that helped them. I just need to understand, a steward is able to understand every job matters. Because, not steward, a servant leader. Because the pyramid is upside down. Nobody is less than another. And becoming a deacon is not a promotion. It's just a transfer of services. Let's go together. Joining the advisory group does not promote you. It's just a change of services. All of them are required. Everybody who is serving God in this church matters equally. There's no some who matter more than others. That's what it means to be a servant. You are serving the master in whichever capacity God has given you, depending on the giftings you have. Let me just look at them, and I hope I can do that in a few minutes. John chapter 13 is where we learn about servant leadership. And I want to go through a few verses of John chapter 13 just to understand what Jesus taught us about being servant leaders. Just open John chapter 13. I'll read from verse 1. It was just before the Passover feast. Jesus knew that the time had come for him to leave this world and go to the Father. Having loved his own who were in the world, he now showed them the full extent of his love. I know I gave a talk to this. I do consultancy and I talk to many groups that are not Christian. I still remember being asked by Help Board, who was sponsoring the deans of all universities and finance managers of all universities, to talk to them. And I told them I'll talk about servant leadership. After some time they said, who can practice what you are teaching? So I told them, it is for your good that you practice it. They said on the pastors. Now I told them that those are us. The concept. It's very difficult to be a servant leader. Within no time you start getting it kiburi. You know what kiburi? It starts coming into you and you lose servant leadership. How did Jesus manage to be God from heaven and he's washing disciples' feet? He gives you the answer in this passage. He says, having loved his own who are in the world, he now showed them the full extent of his love. Love for the people God has given you to lead will make it easier for you to serve them. That's what Jesus is saying. So please don't agree to do a job where you don't have a. Don't become a Sunday school teacher unless you have love for children. Are we together? If you don't have love for marriage, don't agree to work in faith ministry. Are we together? Because Jesus is saying it's much easier to be a servant to people you love. If you don't love them, you want them to serve you rather than you serving them. If you are, for example, in faith ministry, you will be so interested instead of marriage. You use your time to counsel people, isn't it? Organize meetings. And some of them you organize, they keep fighting. You organize again, they fight even more. But you don't give up because you love them, isn't it? So servant leadership is only possible where the people you are leading and serving, there is a love for you, there is a love in you for them. That's what Jesus is teaching us. So ask yourself, do I actually have love for the people I'm leading? He goes on to say, in verse 2, Jesus knew, okay, let me read verse 2 fully. The evening meal was being served, and the devil had already prompted Judas Iscariot, son of Simon, to betray Jesus. Verse 3, Jesus knew that the Father had put all things under his power. He's still giving us the secret. How is he able to be a servant to the people he's leading? Because a leader has confidence, not insecurity or just self-confidence. He is able to allow it to take the risk of serving people. We have three alternatives according to me. You can have self-confidence, But when you have self-confidence, it gives you pride. Or you can have insecurity. When you have insecurity, you get into a lot of trouble. Or you can have God confidence. For you to be a servant leader, you must have God confidence. Because self-confidence, you keep telling me, young man, have self-confidence. You take me, have you ever met me? And I don't believe I should even trust myself. This guy telling me to trust him, he doesn't even know me. Have you ever heard that? Somebody is telling you, have self-confidence. You say, that's really, I don't know how popular I am. Are you getting my point? That self-confidence is not the way to go. That's what motivational speakers are giving. But self-confidence, unless you lie to yourself, you know very well your weakness. Okay, you are also knows. But let's be clear, you know very well. So when you have self-confidence, and then you realize it's not working, you will soon come out from servant leadership and start fighting your way. But what is worse is insecurity. Feeling insecure. Feeling like, and if you have a wife like that, please accept my sympathy in advance. You bring her a dress from London, and she wonders, these are right. Exactly. Oh, what did he do in London? You put the dress aside and says, be frank. What did you do in London? Why? This dress is not cheap. There must be something you are covering. Now the husband came happy. Is there going to be happiness in that home? And what is the cause? He does not think she is worth loving. She is always thinking other women could pull their husband away. So any small thing, she feels. In fact, you are driving, as I say, by the way, that was my classmate, your classmate, and you can remember them. And I'm in the car. What do you do when I'm not in the car? Am I talking things you are not heard of? It has to do with insecurity. My friend, if your boss is insecure, please accept my sympathy. If you perform well, he knows why. You want him to lose his job. If you perform badly, he knows why. You are trying to sabotage him. It doesn't matter what you do. You always have problems with an insecure boss. Am I right? And it's true in the church also. This friend of mine, senior pastor, is insecure. You always be fighting with the people. Because anything you say, he knows these people don't like him. There's another guy they wanted. That's why they are not, hey, one and you're there. They are seen for me. But once he is secure, it doesn't matter what you do. He knows God has put me in this church, and God only can get me out. So you can keep talking, backbiting, or even front-biting. It doesn't quite matter. He will be secure. But that kind of security I'm describing doesn't come without God confidence. When you trust in God, you know very well that you may have reason to fear what you are doing. You realize God can tackle it, isn't it? So any concerns, you report them upstairs and leave it in God's hands. Is that level of confidence who allow you to serve people who don't even deserve your service? They simply don't deserve your service, but you still serve them. Just hear the verse again. Jesus knew that the Father had put all things under his power, even when he's about to be killed. In fact, when Pilate started telling him, do you know how power? He said, you have no power unless God gives you. Do you remember the story? So Jesus was secure. My friend, until you get that level of security, that you are not trying to get security from the ministry you are involved in, you're not very secure. And if they feel like they want to take it, it's okay, you'll be in the church happy. Because your security does not come from the title you have. Are we together? Yeah. So you continue involvement in your involvement in God's work, even without that title. Because you are not getting security in the title. So you can see servant leadership, this upside pyramid, is possible when you know God has put me here. Nobody can get me out unless the Lord allows you. Pilate, be aware. You have no power. Maybe it's your boss. Maybe you tell him, you are fired. And I will do that also that by a boss because the contractors were so unhappy. I'm the regional manager for sure. And the contractors were so unhappy. They reported me, they tried to bribe me, I didn't accept the bribe. Finally, they wanted me fired. And I was in middle management, now the top management. One of them called me and said, you know, two of us cannot work here. So I said, I understand, sir. But if you could tell me what I can do to improve my performance, if it's performance, that's okay. So he told me, I know I'm not from the chair. I'm not about to resign. Because I could see the threat is what I resign. I'm not resigning. This job I was given by God. Only God can do me. There's no way I will lose the job without the Lord around me. Listen, that was around you. By August, that guy had no job. No, by August, he was transferred to another place. He was wanted to return to Ghana. He refused. They gave him another job. By October, he resigned. He was right. Two of us will not work. And only I thought it is me who is going to go. You actually, wait. You need that security that allows you to stand your ground even if they are firing you. By the way, it's not I will be happy. My children were in school. And I didn't know how to pay the school fees. But I knew my children are not mine. I'm only a steward. God is the owner. If I lose a job in Shell, the children still go to the school. Not with my money, but with God's money. You are different source. Are we together? That's what allows you to make a stand and serve people who don't even deserve your service. You serve them, they insult you. You serve them, they backbite you. But you still continue. That's what happens. A lot of people are in trouble because what they do, they have been appointed by human beings. If the senior pastor is the one who appoints you to an office, if he can appoint you, he cannot fire you. But if you say that the senior pastor was already a vehicle from God, and God is the one who has put you there, you know he can't, even if he wants to remove you, he can't. Because he has no power beyond God. Are we together? So you start having a level of confidence that allows you to serve people, even when they are not supporting you, they are not rewarding you, they don't care. In fact, what is worse, sometimes they tell stories and true stories about you. And you feel, I'll drop it. And I know I went through that. I was in the board of directors for a Christian company. And we did a fundraising. But then most of the money went into the fundraising. So people are so excited because you had raised $1 million those days was a lot of money. So everybody was excited until, of course, I'm from a business angle. So I said, what was the objective of the whole deal? Was to raise money. How much did we raise? They said $1 million. I said, no, we didn't raise $1 million. Remove all expenses and see how much we raised. You know what the CEO said? Brother, Mr. Nganga, you want to discourage us. How can you bring such a matter? I said, but it happens to be the truth. The thing was a failure. They were all agreed I'm wrong. But I knew I was trying to help them to see. There must be a method of doing fundraising with less expenses, isn't it? But the whole idea is money that can go to whatever the organization is doing. When I went home, feeling misunderstood, I went to the president to decide. Because after all, there's nothing much I'm getting out of it. What does it mean? I'll decide. And the thought of deciding was coming to my mind when the Lord says, who put you there? Resignation means deciding from me. Where will you go? After you refuse what God wants. To my embarrassment, at the next board meeting, I was in the same meeting. After they have still made it very clear, they are totally open to me. The idea is God's work. And the ideas I'm giving will help the organization to go places. So I stayed. And after some time, I became the chairman of the board. I'm not really kidding. So you need to come to where, like Jesus, I know where I have come from. I know who has appointed me. That way I can go down and wash people's feet and I will not lose my position because my position is in God. Let's go a little further. Let me just repeat this verse 3 again. And that he had come from God and was returning to God. Here, I think what I hear him emphasizing is vision. Don't get annoyed by small things. Are you seeing what you are doing, achieving the long-term vision? If the answer is yes, don't worry about these small problems you're having with the people. As long as, generally speaking, you are going towards vision. And that's one of the things that we lack. A lot of activities we do the activity without asking, why am I doing the activity? And that's exactly what my board problem was having, isn't it? Well, you are seeing millions. You don't understand the objective was different. So if you're in the Sunday school superintendent, you must understand, why am I running Sunday school? What's the value of Sunday school? Some people, of course, they run Sunday school to keep the children out of mischief. So as long as the Sunday service goes on well, without noise, they have achieved it. But is that the vision behind Sunday school? The vision behind Sunday school is the future president of this country to have biblical values. That child you see who is 10 years, if, by the way, not wrong, in another 10 years, you might hear him in the UN. Is that possible? So, a Sunday school teacher who concentrates on how this boy is relating on himself, you're looking at activity, not understanding this urinator within no time will be the president. I'm not going to get it. And once you have that concept, the mess in Sunday school is a small activity, because you are seeing what finally will happen. Am I clear? So never participate in activity until the group you are dealing with is agreed on vision, mission, and core values. In other words, the reason we are here is to achieve what? If you are in Sunday school, all teachers in the meeting must agree why Sunday school exists. What's the vision? What's the mission? What are the values that will guide us? When that happens, this is why I say it's easier to serve when you can see the long-term view. And it's going on. It is easier to do the small things of washing people's feet. And it will be important that we deal with it. Verse 5. After that, he poured water into a basin and began to wash his disciples' feet, drying them with a towel that was wrapped around him. You know, here, he has taught them about leadership. He has told them that Christian leadership is different from the leadership of the world. Finally, he actually bent down to demonstrate the teaching. What's the lesson here? For you to do servant leadership, you must not ask people to do things you yourself cannot. And a lot of people, you know, I'm a deacon. That's junior staff. You know, I don't know but you can Google it up. But for those of us who older, remember a president called Jimmy Carter in America. You remember him? Jimmy Carter. He was a Christian and Sunday school teacher. Although Sunday school in America is not every age, so you may be teaching old people, but it's still called Sunday school. Then he became the president of the most powerful nation on earth. Do you know the guy still continues teaching Sunday school? Just Google up Carter. The Americans were so fed up with him, they never gave him a second term. Elder, am I remembering correctly? Yes. Because they never imagined, how can you be a whole president and behave like a church Sunday school teacher? But he set standards. Up to today, the Carter Center still is doing election supervision all over the world. It's one of the presidents who, after coming out of office, continue to have influence internationally. Are we together? Practically getting involved. Some of you, your gifting is in Sunday school teaching. Just because you have become a deacon, you can't teach Sunday school. Why? You think Sunday school is junior. You know, some people, because I preach a lot in the universities, start assuming I stopped going to high school. 2 Sundays ago, I was preaching in high school. My Matthew Boys High School. If student medicine is important, I'll do it anywhere, anytime. And I'll never grow old to teach, to preach in high school. I'm not going to get it. So you must not mistake an office for a ministry. Offices will retire from. Ministry continues until you die. I'm not going to get it. So don't insist on being the chairman all the time. But if you are called to ministry, allow the ministry. For example, I think I said that earlier, we began an evangelistic team in 1974 in Yadalo. Every time we did anything, I was retired continuously until the 80s. Now, I realized I will never be allowed not to be chairman. So he came to me, I become a Gideon, and Gideon don't allow you to continue the same office. So I brought it up to my team. He says, you can't be, offices are not permanent. Military is. So let's allow it. I said, no. If Nana moves out, the team will die. I said, no. I'm going nowhere. I'll still be in the team. Only I'll not have the title. We voted, we got another reward. From that day, in 1983-84, I've never been chairman again. The people currently leading us were not born. They're in their 30s, and that's 50 years ago. Are you getting the difference? And they are the ones who sent me to my boys. I was asking, where is it? They said, no, we can give you a ring. I went. I'm not communicating. You need to come to where you understand, I know where I'm coming, I know where I'm going, I can do it. And you must not do things because they give you title. You must ask yourself, what is your ministry? What are you doing for God's kingdom? Which you will continue to do even as they remove the title. Serving the Lord has no time limit. Why? Because Paul calls us the slave of Jesus Christ. And if you're a slave, there's no retirement package. Because you don't retire. You know the owner of the slave, he tells the slave to work. When he dies, he buries the slave. Have you studied something about slave trade? That's what you are, your own. Christ owns us, so we will never retire from the work. However, we must retire from offices and allow younger people to take the office. But ministry continues. So as a servant leader, you continue serving him even after you lose the title. So that's why you are able to, since you know the title does not give you special office or special favors, you actually continue with the ministry longer term. Practical. He was involved practically. Look at verse 8. No, said Peter, you shall never wash my feet. Jesus answered, unless I wash you have no part with me. In other words, Peter wanted to be described as special. A servant leader does not have favorites. He has no kitchen cabinet. Everybody in the team matters to him. So Peter told you, I'm washing everybody, including you. If you refuse, out. I'm getting the message? So you need to, this idea of favoritism, you don't value what I do, you value my name. Therefore, you don't look at others as important. It's not part of servant leadership. Servant leadership, everybody matters. I told you, if everybody resigns and the CEO remains, you have to do the cleanup job, isn't it? Everybody matters to him. And so, in the work you are doing in this church, are you having that concept? The leader treats all in a team as equally important. Is that what you are doing? That's part of the servant leadership. Because you are serving all of them. And they are all doing something adding up to fulfilling the vision for the whole organization. Then, let's read verse 12. When he had finished washing their feet, he put on his clothes and returned to his place. Do you understand what I have done for you? He asked them. A leader asks for feedback. We have agreed that what people think about you will not bother you. But for performance management, it's important to know whether what you are doing is helping. Are we together? So if servant leadership means, since I'm serving you, I'm washing your feet, do you feel the dirt has gone out? If the dirt is still there, you wash again, isn't it? Now that's what we are talking about. That in servant leadership, you must come to where you ask the person. He's asking, I've been demonstrating something. Do you get the lesson? So you are not, if you feel like, I don't care what you think at all, and yet you are serving me, how will that work out? Jesus is saying, I've done something. Have you understood? Do you actually look for feedback? And does it bother you? Then verse 13 says, you call me teacher and Lord, and rightly so, for that is what I am. Now that I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also should wash one another's feet. I have set you an example that you should that you do as I have done for you. What are we learning? Leader takes Christ as his example